Hello and welcome back to Sonic Saturday, the show where I'm attempting to play every single Sonic game on a week-to-week basis. We're nearing the end of our time on Genesis, with 2 more to go after this video. This week, we're playing Sonic SPINBALL, the obligatory pinball spin-off to every major franchise. Let's get into it. Sonic SPINBALL is the first game so far in this journey that I've outright hated. Which is a shame, because there are some fun and some creative aspects that are completely lost under the horrendous controls and shaky physics. I personally love pinball, both real life and virtual, so I was excited to finally get to experience this whole game, as before the video I had never made it past the first board. Let me break it down a little further. This one, out of all the boards, is probably the most vibrant and full in terms of detail. I really like the music, but those two are about the only positive things I can say. This is a problem for the game as a whole, but since this is the first area, it becomes super clear right away. And that is how cryptic the game is. Yes, it tells you that you need to find the emeralds, but does nothing to even hint you as to how to approach it or even point you in the right direction. I don't want the game to hold my hand, but struggling around the board for a long time having no idea what to do while having to fight the game's controls led to a lot of frustration. I did enjoy the boss fight though, because I actually managed to find some kind of sweet spot where I beat the boss without having to even touch any buttons. The noise that it makes every time you fall through the bumpers as the dragon comes to get you can go to hell though. I ended up muting the game until I passed it because it was god-awful. I can almost guarantee that very few people have ever even seen this board because they rage quit in toxic caves. They wouldn't be missing much though, as this board is empty and fairly lifeless. Although the objective to get the emeralds was a lot more straightforward this time, which I do appreciate. The only fun part of this level was the ball return area, where you had to jump on a fan with an NPC for him to shoot you back up. It added just a little bit of life into the stage. I just wish they did more like that. The boss fight here was a bit of a highlight, being the stuff of pure nightmares. I will at least appreciate how they chose to change up how Eggman looks in this game, instead of the boss fights being just him in some ship every time. This is the course that almost made me quit. This is where the cryptic and unintuitive mission objectives really come into play, because although a few of the emeralds are straightforward and able to be gotten fairly easily, the last few had me doing circles around the board and having zero idea what to do or where to go next. I ended up having to look up where the last emerald was, since I was getting so frustrated that I almost gave up on the spot. I can almost guarantee that I'm one of the few people to ever make it this far in the game, and I commend myself for that, but boy was it hard. The boss was super uninteresting too, because just like the first board, I found a sweet spot where I literally had to touch no buttons, still took down the boss in under 1 minute. About the only consistently good thing in this game is the bonus stages. These are between each level and are smaller pinball tables where you are given a specific task to do to get points. My favorite was knocking the teeth out of Eggman's robot head, but honestly all of them were fun, and they were a little refresher between each of the frustrating boards. And I liked the detail that Sonic fingers would actually move depending on which flipper you pushed, and that you could see his reactions in the reflection to what you were doing on the board. This was probably my favorite board of the whole game. It was pretty plain, theming wise, but the actual board itself had some really cool gimmicks and board aspects that were actually kind of fun. Now it is worth noting that I was playing this on the Genesis collection, which means I had access to quick save system and a rewind feature. This kept the board from being too unbearable. I can't even imagine attempting this on the original Genesis. I probably would have broken my controller and given up at least 100 times. But through modern quality of life, I trudged through and made it to the final boss. The boss is really cool, although simple. I don't have a ton to say about this one. It didn't take me very long and then the game was over. This game sucked so badly. The quality of life features that the Genesis collection added is the only reason I was able to get through this one at all, and I would not suggest anyone revisit this one. I know there's another pinball game coming up on the DS later in this series, but on the worst side, I know I also have the Game Gear version of this game to conquer as well. I'm not looking forward to that. Anyway, do you have any memories of Sonic SPINBALL? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching!